We've been told since childhood to live a moral life, to be good, to be kind, to follow rules and codes that define what it means to be a decent human being. On the surface, this sounds right. Who would argue against kindness or honesty? But have you ever wondered whether living morally, according to someone else's rules, can actually make us deeply fake? Morality is often taught as imitation. You don't lie because you've been told lying is wrong. You don't steal because you fear punishment. You show respect because it's expected. And so much of our so-called morality comes not from direct understanding, but from conditioning. We act in certain ways because we want to fit in, because we don't want conflict, because we've been told this is good and that is bad. But is that morality? Or is it simply fear wearing a mask? Think about it. When a child shares a toy because the parent insists on it, is that generosity? Or is it compliance? When we hold back anger because we're scared of being judged, is that kindness? Or just suppression? True morality, if there is such a thing, cannot be built on imitation or fear. It must come from something far deeper, an inner clarity that is not borrowed from any authority, tradition, or religion. Krishnamurti once asked, if your goodness is based on society's approval, is it goodness at all? Or is it just another form of self-interest, seeking reward, avoiding punishment? The uncomfortable truth is this: living morally in the conventional sense often makes us dishonest, not only with others, but with ourselves. We wear the mask of virtue while inside we may feel envy, anger, or confusion. And this split between the mask and what's actually happening inside, that's where the fakeness begins. We become actors, performing goodness, while our inner world remains unsettled. We speak of love, but beneath it lies attachment and fear. We talk about honesty, but we edit our words to make ourselves look better. We follow codes of compassion, but we secretly judge those who don't meet our standards. Isn't that hypocrisy disguised as morality? Let's go deeper. Society praises discipline. Be a disciplined worker, a disciplined student, a disciplined citizen. But what if discipline itself becomes mechanical? What if it strips away the spontaneity of being human? When you force yourself to follow a moral code, are you truly compassionate? Or are you following a script written by culture, religion, or authority? And if you're just following a script, how different is that from a robot programmed to behave? This is where Krishnamurti's insight cuts through like a blade. He suggested that true morality cannot be cultivated. It cannot be practiced. The moment you practice goodness, it's already false, because you're imitating. Genuine compassion, genuine honesty, genuine love. They arise naturally when the mind is free of fear, comparison, and ambition. But when we pursue morality as an ideal, I should be good, I should be kind, I should be spiritual, we are trapped in contradiction. Have you noticed this contradiction in your own life? You want to be patient, but inside you're boiling with irritation. You want to be forgiving, but resentment clings to you like a shadow. You want to love without condition, but jealousy creeps in. The more you try to suppress these feelings in order to appear moral, the more divided you become. And the division creates guilt, anxiety, and inner conflict. So morality, in the conventional sense, doesn't bring peace. It brings fragmentation. Imagine two people, one who is polite because society expects it, and another who is genuinely kind because they see the humanity in another person. Outwardly, the actions may look the same, but inwardly, they are worlds apart. One is acting from conditioning, the other from awareness. One is imitating, the other is living authentically. And this difference is everything. So the real question is, how do we live without being fake? How do we live without turning morality into a mask? Krishnamurti would say, by observing ourselves honestly, without judgment. To see anger as it arises, without condemning it. To see jealousy without pretending it's not there. To see our selfishness, not to justify it, not to hide it, but simply to face it. In that clarity of seeing, change happens naturally, not as a result of willpower, but as a result of understanding. When you truly see the roots of anger, you don't need to practice patience. Patience flows naturally. When you understand the nature of attachment, You don't need to force yourself to be loving. Love arises naturally. This is morality without imitation, without hypocrisy. It is not taught, not imposed, not practiced. It is discovered in the act of living, moment by moment. And maybe that's the radical insight. The moral life begins not with trying to be good, but with ending the pretense of goodness. Only when the mask falls, when the fakeness ends, can something real begin. Think of how exhausting it is to live behind a mask, to constantly ask yourself, am I being good enough? Am I meeting the standard? Am I doing what a moral person should do? This endless comparison drains energy. It divides life into what you are and what you should be. And that gap, that struggle between what is and what should be, is the very source of inner conflict. Have you noticed how much effort goes into maintaining an image of goodness? At work, you play the role of the responsible, ethical employee. With friends, you play the role of the supportive, understanding companion. With family, you play the role of the dutiful child or parent. Each situation demands a different mask, and slowly we forget what it means to be genuine. We become fragmented, different selves in different contexts. This fragmentation is praised as morality, but in truth, it's just performance. Krishnamurti pointed out that truth begins when imitation ends, but imitation feels safe, doesn't it? Society rewards conformity. People respect you when you act morally. You gain trust, reputation, even power. Yet deep down, if you are honest, you know there's a disconnect. You know that sometimes you smile when you don't feel like smiling. You forgive when you haven't truly let go. You act kind when inside you're indifferent. And this quiet dishonesty eats away at the soul. The paradox is striking. The harder you try to be good, the more artificial you become. The more you force yourself to be virtuous, the more conflict you create within. Real goodness cannot be cultivated like a skill. It cannot be rehearsed like a role. It is born only when the mind is free of fear, free of reward, free of punishment. That freedom allows compassion to arise on its own, not because it's the right thing to do, but because it is natural. So what does this mean in everyday life? It means questioning your motives. The next time you do something good, ask yourself, am I doing this because I understand or because I want approval? Am I honest because honesty feels right or because I fear the consequences of lying? Am I kind because I care or because I don't want to look bad? This simple inquiry can reveal how much of our morality is built on fear and desire. And once you see it clearly, without judgment, something changes. The seeing itself is transformative. When you realize you've been polite only to avoid conflict, suddenly there is a space to discover what genuine kindness feels like. When you notice you've been generous only for recognition, there is an opportunity to act without seeking reward. Awareness breaks the chain of imitation. Living without imitation doesn't mean living without care. On the contrary, it means living with deeper sensitivity. You are no longer following rules blindly. You are responding directly to life as it unfolds. Compassion, then, is not a commandment. It is not an obligation. It is a living reality that emerges when you are fully present, fully attentive, without fear. This is not easy, of course. It demands courage, the courage to stand alone, to question tradition, to let go of authority. Society thrives on conformity. Religion thrives on obedience. Culture thrives on repetition. To step out of these patterns feels risky. You may be misunderstood. You may even be judged as immoral. But Krishnamurti would ask, is it better to be respected as moral while being fake, or to live authentically, even if it challenges the world around you? When you drop the mask of morality, you may find something surprising. Life becomes lighter. The struggle to maintain an image dissolves. The energy once spent on pretense becomes available for real understanding. Relationships grow deeper because you're no longer pretending to be perfect. You can admit mistakes without fear. You can face your own shadows without guilt. And from that honesty comes a different kind of goodness, one that is not imposed, not rehearsed, but real. So maybe the true danger is not in being immoral, but in being fake. A fake smile, a fake kindness, a fake compassion. These things destroy trust, both with others and within ourselves. But when the fakeness ends, when the mask of morality falls, there is an authenticity that no rulebook can produce. And that authenticity may be the beginning of a life that is truly moral, not because you follow a code, but because you live from understanding. So the question is not, how can I be more moral? But, can I live without pretense? Because when the mask of morality falls, what remains is honesty. And from honesty comes clarity. And from clarity, compassion flows naturally. That compassion is not something taught by religion, or imposed by society, or demanded by fear. It is not practiced. It is not rehearsed. It is alive. Living this way requires courage, yes. It means letting go of the comfort of rules, the security of approval, the easy path of imitation. But what you gain in return is authenticity. You are no longer divided, no longer acting one way in public and feeling another in private, no longer trapped in the exhausting performance of being a good person. When you live authentically, relationships shift. Love becomes free of attachment. Kindness becomes free of calculation. Honesty becomes free of fear. This is not morality as the world defines it. It is something much deeper. It is the flowering of a mind that is free, attentive, and alive. And perhaps that is the greatest insight Krishnamurti offered. That real goodness begins only when we stop trying to be good. Only when we end the imitation, the hypocrisy, the performance. Only then can we discover what it means to live with integrity, not because it is expected, but because it is true.